Welcome, everybody. This is John Mulligan with Action Coach. Today I'm joined by Brad Kugler with Direct Market 2.0. Brad, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, John. Pleasure to be here, and let's talk about it.
Fabulous. So tell me a little bit about your company and how you got it started.
So it's interesting because the backstory that brought me here is kind of necessary, but I have been in wholesale distribution from the time I was in my early 20s,
Hmm.
selling at first VHS, CDs, DVDs. I came from that world, and I'm sure everybody knows what happened to the world of packaged media. It went into streaming, and it was not something that I did not see coming. Obviously, there was talk of the end of packaged media in the early 90s.
Hmm.
And not for lack of trying, but we tried to find many ways to avoid the disruption we knew was coming.
Hmm.
Tried streaming, hundreds of millions of dollars and millions in legal bills to get into that and infrastructure. It was out of our bivouac. Tried to get into buying and selling other forms of entertainment, games, physical products. It was difficult too. Um, in the end, I was looking for something that I could be the disruptor.
Hmm.
And I had a longtime family friend named Joy Genduza who ran a printing company called Postcard Mania, who saw me dabbling in different e-commerce things. And, I was sort of tech savvy and I managed the unwind of a 27-year-old business over the course of years. And I'm very prolific on social media, so it was pretty much there for everyone to see. I didn't document it as a series, but
Sure.
people saw my transition into different businesses. And she said, "I think I might have something for you. We have this technology product for direct mail that allows the receiver of direct mail to simultaneously uh, be targeted with digital ads." I said, "Oh, that sounds interesting.
Hmm.
Obviously, direct mail had been impacted by the growth of digital marketing, and she had an idea and a product within her company that kind of merged the two together. It was very rudimentary, but it got a lot of traction. She's like, "Listen, I want to find someone to spin this off into its own going concern and,
Hmm.
sell it nationwide other than just to our customers." I said, "Great. We made our deal. This sounds like a path to do something." And what did it have? It checked a few boxes. It
Hmm.
checked the box of recurring revenue, and it checked the box of being a disruptor rather than a disruptee. So that brought me to accepting this position to spin off this technology into its own company and sort of help drive it from its parent company. And this was in mid 2017.
Okay. Now, you're located in Clearwater, Florida, but do you work with companies all over the country?
Absolutely. Yeah. We're in Clearwater, Florida. We're national. We do business in Canada. Um, Our primary target is a reseller model. So we contact other print marketing companies or agencies that have some direct mail clients or do direct mail from the printing company. And then we sell this platform or license them to resell it. So they're resellers. We're
Okay.
not really going directly that much to the advertiser itself, but we're enabling direct mail companies to remain relevant by combining digital marketing with direct mail for a better result.
Now, you said when we talked earlier that you had incorporated AI into this platform. Can you tell me
Yeah,
a little
so
bit
that,
about
that,
that?
that absolutely, that's fast forwarding. I've been doing this now for almost 9 years. So about a year and a half ago, the AI world started to poke its head into various industries, and I'm like, I'm not getting left behind again. I'm not getting
Yeah,
disrupted.
that's
I'm
right.
I'm
You're not leaving
diving
that
in with
box at
both feet.
Blockbuster no more?
Yeah, yeah. I watched the end of Blockbuster. I watched Netflix go from sending out physical DVDs to closing that business several years ago and going
Hmm.
complete streaming. Um, yeah, streaming media disrupted packaged media. So I'm like, I'm diving in. What do we have here? What is the available resource? I have the results on 80,000 direct mail campaigns. All right. we're talking 2 billion pieces of mail over the last 8 years. So I have this data no one else has. There's no
Hmm.
AI out there that's going to know the results of the campaigns that I perform. No way.
Right. Right.
So what if I build an AI that takes the results of these campaigns and enables people that are going to do direct mail to be able to do it smarter with the results from my historic campaigns?
Hmm.
So I started working on that and, hundreds of thousands of dollars later. And again, I'm no Sam Altman with billions of dollars. I'm actually leveraging their platforms to help me, but I had to hire some pretty expensive mathematicians to build these algorithms against
Hmm.
this historic data. So we released a new platform last month called DM20.ai. It's basically allows a person says, I do direct mail. Tell me how I can make my direct mail more effective or prevent me from making an expensive mistake. Direct
Sure.
mail campaign usually costs $2,000 to $10,000.
Hmm.
Well, if you can spend 50 or $60 in advance and know if you're going to make a big mistake or do a few things that could ensure a higher chance of success for your campaign, it's probably worth the 50 or $60.
For sure.
So
Absolutely.
that's what we came out with, and it's just launching. And I'm trying to talk to as many people as possible about this. If you've ever thought of doing direct mail, or you've ever done direct mail, you get a freebie just for
Okay.
coming in and trying it out. So it costs you nothing. And if you want to use it again, we want to charge you. But we're using four AI models for this. Our own,
Yep.
we're using Anthropic,
Hmm.
ChatGPT, and Google's Gemini. So
Wow.
this ain't just our AI expertise, but it's modeled after our proprietary data.
Okay.
So I think we've got something there. Everybody that's used it thinks we've got something there. And we have people testing it out. And by and large, a huge majority of them are saying, wow, this is pretty interesting. Yeah, I want to try this. So it's just getting the word out at this point.
And you said it's DM20.ai, that it?
That's correct.
All right, great.
Yeah.
So, are you the sole owner of this right now?
No, no. As I mentioned earlier, my primary partner is Joy Genduza of Postcard Mania.
Oh, nice.
She's had a print marketing company for 30 years. She seeded this business, and it's really, she doesn't work in it. She's got her own company,
Yeah.
but I've been the CEO and co-founder, like I said, for 9 years of this.
Oh, excellent. Okay, good. So, for a lot of people, when they start up a business, they're like working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. What's your typical week look like as a business owner?
Well, I'm happy to say I don't do 60, 78 hours a week. All
That's
right.
good.
I'm just about on the cusp of turning 60. I have to say that it's difficult at my age to maintain that sort of schedule. Yeah, I guess if I would have and still could put in that kind of energy and devotion, maybe I can grow a lot faster. But I would say I'm a pretty 9 to 5 with a few hours on the weekend.
Sure.
Again, I'm almost 9 years into this journey.
Hmm.
We're fortunate enough that our core products are profitable and generating cash flow to finance these new endeavors. So um, I may not be a 25-year-old startup entrepreneur anymore, but I figure my wisdom and experience prevents me from making some of the mistakes some of those newer guys may make.
Absolutely. So, on that note, so what are some of the obstacles you've had to overcome in this journey?
Oh, everything, and I'll tell you some of the things, being, I would say, a later career entrepreneur at this point. I didn't start this until I was over 50 years old.
Hmm.
Um, it brings a sense of conservatism where I'm not making wild bets. I
Hmm.
don't want to dilute myself and take on huge amounts of outside capital and have a board telling me what to do. I feel I've cut my teeth on years of entrepreneurial experience. So I've had the same basic problems that everybody does. Basically pipeline, how do we fill and continue to fill that pipeline with new customers? How do we convert those customers and how do we keep those customers happy? Luckily, I haven't had cash flow problems or the necessity to raise endless amounts of investment capital to keep the company going.
Hmm.
I'm shrewd on operations, marketing, and finance due to my experience. So
Right.
I would say it's controlled growth
Hmm.
that is never fast enough, but I've stayed away from the lures of outside capital that is expensive in the long run. I'll be honest with you. At this point, uh, I am not ready for a bet the farm, go for the broke kind of situation. I'm okay with steady, consistent growth with consistent profitability. Um, you know, so I don't have that 25-year-old energy anymore, although
Right.
I love building products. I love creating pieces of software and tools that help people become more efficient.
Hmm.
That's where my excitement comes, you know?
Right. What's funny, I was listening to the Freakonomics podcast just recently, in fact, this week, and they were interviewing the founder of Epic, which is the health. Anytime you log in, it interconnects everything. The
Yeah.
founder, I think she's a woman who's 82 years old up in Wisconsin. They're, billionaire, huge company, and she has some of the same things. The company is privately held. They don't take any outside investors. They're not public. Even in the succession planning, that cannot be sold or any of that type of thing. So listening to you reminds me very much of that
Yeah,
podcast.
I think the entrepreneurial purpose of someone in their late 50s, early 60s is quite different than someone that's 25. They've got their whole career ahead of them.
Hmm.
They probably don't have anything to lose at that point in terms of, putting kids through college or
Right.
weddings coming up or your imminent retirement. I mean, if
Hmm.
it all goes to naught in 3 or 4 years, you're not even 30 years old. You can easily start again.
Right. Well, it's funny. I'm actually,
People our age, that's not the case. If we
that's
risk
right.
our nest eggs on this, it's
Yes,
quite hard with being 60 to recover that
it is.
security, you know?
Well, I'm actually reading, I'm in this mastermind called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's sitting here because I had my weekly mastermind group with the folks last night. We were reading chapter 11. And in chapter 11, it specifically talks about many people peak business performance is between 40 and 60. So,
Yes.
which,
Peak
makes a lot of sense.
earning. I was reading an article recently. Peak earning for most career people is about 55 to 60 years old.
Hmm.
It's pretty common that income potential goes down after 60. All right.
Hmm.
For most people, not
Yeah,
everybody, of course.
right,
Uh, and I've always been more conservative than I was a risk taker. I'm not a gambler, especially at this age,
right.
especially after watching my 25-year-old business go to nothing at 50 years old, as
Yes,
I had 3 kids in college.
yes.
So it's taught me to be a little more conservative, but that's a double-edged sword. It means that you're not taking risk. You're probably limiting your potential growth.
Hmm.
But then again, you're limiting your downside as well. So,
Right.
I didn't know if you meant this to turn into a middle-aged entrepreneurial story, but it
It
seems
can
that
take a
you
lot of
are.
different paths, but
Yeah,
I did want to focus this back. So talking about growth, tell me a little bit about your marketing strategy. How do you find new clients and walk me through then the sales process. So if somebody wants to come to you, how do you market and how do they find you and what's the sales process for somebody to actually purchase from you?
perfect. So that journey has changed over the last 5 or 6 years.
Hmm.
Um, when we first launched our product, it was like, you know, giving candy to a baby. It was, once we got over the who are you guys and why should we buy, it
Hmm.
was pretty easy. But now as the market has matured, our TAM, our total addressable market, as it sits right now, is commercial printers and
Okay.
specific ad agencies that concentrate on direct mail advertising. So
Hmm.
that market has contracted due to consolidation of the print industry. Print industry is a lot of 60-year-old white men that are going through a phase out, and their children do not see the commercial printing business as a very sexy or exciting continuity business for someone who's a millennial. I'll be honest with you,
Yeah.
you know? And you're getting a lot of these printers selling for book value or asset value to larger, more well-organized regional or national players who have economies of scale to do this
Yep.
cheaper.
I know one of them. In fact, he's in my BNI group. We can chat later.
Very, very common.
Uh-huh.
So again, I'm facing a consolidation pressure for the boomer generation who's exiting this business, who's been in it probably since the 80s.
Hmm.
And with all the technology change, and they're in their 60s or 70s, they're just not up to the change that's needed, and their children are not really interested, and most likely they haven't been growing in years, and they're out for asset value at this point or liquidation value.
Yes, right, right.
Very common.
So, yeah. So,
So to get back, that
yeah,
marketing
yeah.
transition is
Marketing. Hmm.
changing. I'm trying to grow the TAM and I'm going after the advertisers directly.
Okay.
Okay. Because you're talking about there's 30 million small businesses in the United
Right,
States, of which probably 10 to 15% still use direct mail for advertising. But
right,
going from a few thousand commercial printers to a million businesses is a big TAM.
right.
So what is the problem? The problem is adjusting your marketing to go from a few thousand targets to a few
Hmm.
million, which is usually a very large jump in advertising budget.
Yeah,
How do you scale that without waste?
right.
That's the problem I'm facing now.
Yeah, and I understand that because we all get mail, and I receive plenty of direct mail, and a lot of it is from, plumbers and electricians and things like that. And I think, well, I don't have a need for that right now, so off it goes.
Exactly. So for me, just to scale to advertising to a million plus direct mail advertisers,
Hmm.
how do you budget for that, you know?
Right. So, how many people are on your team?
We have 20 people, 20
Okay,
full-time
nice.
staff. I think there's three or four that are overseas, sort of
Hmm.
in support roles.
So, how would you describe yourself as a leader? What's your leadership style?
I would say that I'm one of these sort of more millennial friendly collaborative type leaders.
Hmm.
I've adapted to manage the person in front of you versus maybe the more older, stricter management style.
Okay.
It's difficult for me sometimes being a Gen Xer to be put the empathy of your staff above the expansion of your business, and it's a balancing of that.
Hmm.
Um, I still put a lot of emphasis on accountability at the same time, really focusing on keeping the work environment somewhere that people want to show up to. With the 3 or 4 years of, working remote and now trying to get people back into the office,
Yeah.
it's
How's
it's
that going?
difficult. It's difficult and
Yeah.
requires a more collaborative approach.
Hmm.
Yes, you can demand they show up or resign, but then you risk losing some valuable employees because the most valuable employees, those can be other companies will sniff them out and offer them whatever deal to attract them.
Sure.
But again, I don't know that anybody's like, yeah, sure, work remotely. We don't care anymore. They will give exceptions to the most valuable and productive people, but it's no longer across the board to anyone.
Yeah, I understand. So, I would assume that most of your workforce is kind of in the Clearwater area, Pinellas
Yeah,
County.
we have let a few move out of state that are remote.
Hmm.
Again, proven productivity examples.
Okay.
We give people 1 day work from home at their leisure, 4 days in the office.
Hmm.
So I try to accommodate. We are not a 5 days you must work in the office. There is flexibility, but we start there. We try to do an office environment.
Very nice. Okay, good. As we get close to the end of time, let me ask a couple more questions.
Sure.
What is your goal in the next 3 to 5 years for your company?
My goal and my company's goal are sort of at divergence at some point.
Okay.
I'm looking at a build to exit at this point
Okay.
within 3 to 5 years.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, I have a passion for helping people and creating products and services.
Okay.
My desire to be a full-time 40 plus hour a week CEO in the office is coming to an end. I started doing this at 24.
Hmm.
Almost 60.
Hmm.
I've put in my time, as you might say, and I'm
Yes.
ready to take a secondary role, whether it's consultancy, an advisor, or board member,
Well,
and I'd like to be doing that.
okay.
So my goal now is to put the company into a financial situation where I could exit and not need to take another CEO job.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
And that I guess you can say that that's driving the company goal as well.
Okay. So, what, as a business owner, what is your advice to other business owners? Anything that just sort of stands out to you?
In the end, be true to yourself. I really feel that you have to have a general like for the product or people you work with. If
Hmm.
you don't, it's just a job. I
Hmm.
mean, there's product CEOs, there's sales CEOs, there's financial or operation CEOs. I put myself as a product CEO. I
Okay.
like building products that people use
Yep.
and are willing to pay for. Um, so there has to be some sort of enjoyment or passion, or there's going to be burnout at some point, you know?
Hmm.
And like I say, I think you've got to have some passion and desire for it. Yes, if you're all in it for the money, and that works a lot of times, and you know how to work that system between leverage and investors and,
Right.
you know, and play that game of leveling up
Hmm.
through arbitrage, that's possible too. You know,
Sure.
I personally like to make products and I love to make deals. So I think I can continue doing that for another 10 or 15 years, but
Hmm.
not as a full-time CEO position.
Sure. Yeah. And in fact, I was talking to somebody who was in carpet sales yesterday, and I said, "How are you successful in carpet sales?" And he says, "I just listen to what my customers need, and that's what I give them."
It's really important to listen to the customer's needs,
Hmm.
and it's really important to build a team that will leverage the efforts that you're putting in.
Hmm.
Okay. Nobody can do this alone. It requires a good team. And how do you build a good team? You listen to your employees as well
Yes. Yes.
and empower
Absolutely.
them. A lot of
Absolutely.
times I've noticed you'll get leaders that are afraid to give too much leash because they're
Yes.
not sure if the guy's going to mess up or try. Let them fail. Okay,
Right.
not encourage them, but
Sure.
how do people learn?
Yeah.
Now, if you're restricting or you show distrust or you don't have confidence in your employees, they understand that and
Hmm.
they won't perform up to their expectations. If you give them the leash and the opportunity to run with an idea,
Hmm.
they will work harder and do more to see it succeed
Yes. Well, I spent many years, 20 something years in software development and within the Scrum world, and we had a phrase that was called fail fast. It's basically
and
go take
fail
a risk.
often. Yeah,
Right. And the same thing I tell when I work with people, I tell them it's okay to fail as long as you ask the question, what did I learn from that?
100%. I
You know,
I am right there with you on that.
because if you're
Super
not
important.
testing, then you're not growing. You're not trying new things. You're just stuck where you are. So that makes a lot of
Exactly.
sense. Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
So one final question. If you could sprinkle a little magic dust on your company, what would be one thing that you want to see where it would go? Like, what would you want to improve?
Honestly, I need to get the company back to double-digit growth. I am
Okay.
currently exploring ways to do that through new products and new markets. So, uh, the growth, I mean, the magic word is persistence. I didn't get to where I am by encountering an obstacle and giving up.
Yeah.
I am determined to give this everything I got for at least another 3 to 5 years and break through this growth barrier again. I've done it many times and I'm just going to hammer it until I get through it. Whether it's finding the right product, the right people, the right customers, or the right market, I will
Hmm.
do it.
Good. Going back to that test and learn strategy right there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So we're kind of out of time. Thank you so much. I've been talking to Brad Kugler with Direct Market 2.0. This is John Mulligan with Action Coach. Thank you so much, Brad. I appreciate your time
Thanks.
today.
Just direct mail
What did I
2.0,
say? I
direct
said direct
market.
market, didn't I?
Yeah.
Direct
But
mail. All right. Edit
you
that
can
out later.
dm20.com
DM20.
is the way
And
to
on
find
that
me.
note, how can people get a hold of you? What are some?
Great. The easiest way is to dm20.com.
Okay.
Or if you want to find me personally or professionally, I'm very easy to find on all social media platforms under my name, Brad Kugler. All
Okay.
right.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Brad.
All right. Take care. Thanks,
All right.
John.
Thanks.